This is where the fun begins. This is where the fun begins.
Prepare yourself for Star Wars, Shadows of the Empire. The evil Empire has struck back with a vengeance, and a new villain, the crime lord Shizor, schemes to replace Darth Vader as the Emperor's second-in-command. With Han Solo held frozen in carbonite by bounty hunter Boba Fett, it's the rebellion's darkest hour. Now, join Jedi warrior Luke Skywalker, hard-charging Chewbacca, and go undercover with heroic pilot Dash Rendar and his booming Outrider. But can Han Solo be freed and Shizor be stopped? Star Wars, Shadows of the Empire. Look for the authentic figures and vehicles from Kenner.
Hello. How are you guys doing? And welcome to Thursday morning coffee chat. And I am so delighted to be here with you guys to discuss Star Wars pre-Disney era and maybe just a little bit of like Disney Star Wars news. We'll see if I want to talk about something I found. It's just an opinion article. And I can go into a compare and contrast. And so I'm so happy to be here with you guys this morning. And I've been so busy this morning that I didn't even get myself ready for the show. I did get prepped for the show, but I didn't prep myself for the show. So I'm not going to come on screen. So sorry for that. But as we go on, what are you enjoying? What is your beverage? What's in your mug this morning? I am enjoying some freshly brewed coffee. I am ready to go. And I'm happy to be here with you guys. So share with me in the chat. And of course, as always, I am going to be interacting with you with the whole entire show as much as I can with what we're going to discuss here. And I have the poll up. So continuing the poll. So who is your favorite smuggler? I do have a couple that maybe you didn't know who were smugglers, but they are. And so we have Cade Skywalker. So he's Jedi turned smuggler. If you know the story, you know why. Talon Card, one of the most favorite smugglers probably in Star Wars history, written by Timothy Zahn. He really fleshed him out and really gave him some good characteristics and everything. I was going to put George Cardass on there, but I decided not to. And then I have Villy or Vilmar on there, which is he is a smuggler and he is from the Republic comics, and there's other stories about him too, and I think there's a couple of what ifs if I remember, so I put him on there as well. And then Jolie Bindu, who was a smuggler turned Jedi. So we have Cade Skywalker, Jedi turned smuggler, like 100 and something odd years from, A New Hope. And then we have Jolie Bindu, who's like, 3,000 years or something like that, or like in the early Old Republic era. And so I thought I'd put those two contrasting, people there, one from the early history of Star Wars and one from later after post Return of the Jedi. So go ahead and make your vote there. So far, Cade is at 33%. Talon Card, I kind of suspected. I almost not put him on there because of how popular he is. He's at 67%, and Villy and Jolie is at 0%. So we'll see if that changes within an hour. So go ahead and place your votes there. And let's see who's all coming in to join us. And so far, I have like a few of you guys coming in so far. So please hit the like button. Yes, that helps out the channel, and share that we're live on Twitter. And as you go on Twitter, just laugh at the humor that's going on today, because I woke up to Meltdown, another Elon Musk story meltdown, and I find that quite amusing. You know, Star Wars and other social media platforms, are very into leaning towards the anti A1 or, free speech, basically. And what the thing is like social media is a great way to network. And, especially if you have any type of business or platform, it's a great way to network and stuff like that. A great way to socialize with people with like-minded interests. I understand that, whether it's business or not. Yeah, but the thing is social media like Twitter is not real life, really. It's not. And so seeing the meltdown, like this is gonna, be the end of freedom around the world or whatever this dramatic take is being said on Twitter. It's not the end of the world, really, because social media could be gone tomorrow. Like Twitter could be gone tomorrow, right? So what? We have to live. We have to get on with our lives, and we'll find another way to communicate with each other. We are here on YouTube communicating right now off of Twitter. There's always ways to communicate, right? So I find it very funny, amusing, and entertaining to watch the meltdown go on. So let's see what's going on here. So please share this out on Twitter. And I know that everybody's focused on what's that bit of news about Elon Musk potentially purchasing Twitter or whatever that is. I didn't read the full newscast on it, I guess you could say. And because I've been busy this morning. So I have the Sentinel came in earlier today and Cade. And then he says all. So I'm pretty sure he voted for Cade. And Zachariah, hello, how are you doing? What are you enjoying in your mug this morning? And good morning from California. 9 a.m., a little bit after 9 a.m. here, morning time for me. So if you're anywhere else, like the Midwest or whatever, I know you're a couple hours to 3 hours ahead of me. So good morning or afternoon or evening if you're, tuning in from another part of the world. All right. And then, and I have this one here. So please go support after I'm done. If you have time, Open Airlock Policy does a EU expanded university short courses. And I was on one of his already, and we discussed Revenge of the Sith. And I hope we can go back and do a part 2. Because there's so much to cover, and we realize like, oh crap, we forgot about this and this and this. There's certain topics we forgot because it's so expansive. The Revenge of the Sith novel is so condensed or so dense with information regarding that time frame and of Anakin's fall and the rise of the Empire and all of that there are some things that we didn't really cover. We could have gone for like 3 or 4 hours just discussing it. So hopefully there's a part 2, but this one right here is about New Jedi Order, and he is talking with Ryan Kennel about the New Jedi Order. So after you're done here, if you have time or when you have time to sit or plug in your earphones or your headphones or whatever, and listen, or if you're doing chores around the house, turn it on, go support and listen. New Jedi Order is one of those stories, a series that was a bit controversial because of how dark it went, because of the edginess it is, because it introduced a new enemy, something that was out of galaxy, a threat. And then we've seen Luke Skywalker be passive because he was stuck in some doubt and fear and how he should react and respond. And so we get to see Luke kind of like, it's not a regression, but he's responding to, he thinks he's acting in accordance in what is right for the galaxy. So you just have to read, but then he, basically learns from that and he moves on and, and all that. But if you're interested in, something that is dark, that was edgy, because every single novel, I think there was a death. So the writers of the time and the series, no one was safe when it came to this series. It came to this threat. No one was safe. Even if there was no death, there was, like Corn Horn. He blamed himself for, was it Ithor, I believe, that got destroyed. So he blamed himself. So there's that, self-doubt kind of thing, and like thinking that you're doing the right thing and it turns out to be wrong. There's all kinds of depth story in there. We get the birth of Ben Skywalker. We get the death of Anakin Solo. Sorry if you haven't read it, spoilers. And of course, Chewbacca. Chewbacca is the one that pissed off everybody. And at the time, I remember that. So go check it out and see what they have to say about that. So let's see who else is here. Chaos Man 17. Good morning. How are you doing? How are you doing? Let's see here, and who else is joining? Yes, it's okay. Hell yeah, great commercial. Yes, I that was shared with me, and I was like, I got to use that as a commercial. So, and you can hear my friggin' cat playing with her little bell ball thingy across the floor. So you hear that little rattling? That's what's going on. Let's see here, and Ranger. Merrick's is my top though. I almost, okay, so I only get there's only four slots. There's Booster Tarek, there's Merrick's his daughter, and I was like, So I was sitting there like writing down some smugglers. Like I even had Han on the list, but I'm like, he's just a go-to. Everybody knows him from the movies, right? And so I was like, Booster, George Cardass, Talon Card, and maybe I should have left Talon Card since he's so popular too, and put on Merrick's or something because she is my favorite too. And but I didn't. So it's so hard to decide when we do these polls because I only get 4 choices. And so I put on 2 people that maybe are not very well known, like Billy, but they are very interesting. So if you read those comics or played those games and stuff that they're associated with, then you know. So hopefully they do get some votes at least. And let's see here. I hope he buys it and brings back Alex Jones, Donald Trump, and me. Oh God, just imagine that. And there's people are like, I'm gonna leave Twitter if he does. I'm like, well, bye. I need to put that on there. Well, bye. Yeah, that's pretty cool. Hello, Kathy. And speaking of channel members, thank you guys so much for your support. I do have a drawing we're gonna get to first, and for as soon as I say hello to everybody. So I had a campaign for channel members, and it was just through the community chat here on YouTube. So it wasn't like you have to come and support the live streams, which I'm going to do that again. This was just going in and sharing who your favorite character is, EU character. And sometimes a lot of us, because the EU is so expansive, that can shift and change over time, especially if you're rereading stories. And you're like, oh, well, maybe I like this one more than the other. So I'm going to go ahead and turn on my camera. It's nearly done. I just have a few things to finish on it. And I have a decision I have to make about what I'm going to do, like with the lightsaber, if I'm going to keep it the way it is, or, and I'll show you right now. So let me turn on the camera here. So here it is. Right here. And I had it taped up on the sides here, so I just got to paint those little sides here. But where the lightsaber, I don't know if I want the white glow to expand out or not, and maybe expand out the green on there a little bit and put in, and then bold out the tan color behind this is a tan color or not. So this, whoever wins today will get a copy. And I went to go try to scan it on my regular scanner, and it barely fits in there. And I don't want to cut off anything on here. So I'll have to take it in and get professionally scanned, which I will here pretty quick. I have to scan my Quinlan Voss one, so those are going in finally. So I'm excited about that. So if you're a channel member and you commented on there, you are on the wheel, and we're going to take care of that. So favorite smuggler, I know, and like I said, I only could put 4 choices on there, so I kind of try to be broad in the selection. But sometimes that doesn't work. Sometimes just putting on like well-known from well-known stories is better. Like was it the Thrawn duology, Hand of Thrawn duology? There's a lot of like smugglers mentioned in that as well. And so I was like, should I go with some of them too? So it's so hard to decide. And Range says, was just listening to Open Airlock and Ryan Kennel while waiting for this. Awesome. I'm glad you're supporting that. He's like Open Airlock Policies channel for the EU and stuff. It's kind of like a, brother. I wouldn't say sister because it's not a female. And I don't want to assume gender, but we already know who he is. But it's like a brother channel to this. And so I don't mind, supporting and sharing and having you guys go support and even becoming channel members there. Orange Hat Review says, sorry, I'm late, folks. Oh, Revenge of the Sith was masterfully written. Right. I agree. Please hit the like button. Yes. And listen to, yeah, so very entertaining. Yeah, I bet it is. I haven't had a chance to because it was published when I woke up and I had to get ready for this. Let's see here. Extragalactic is a term they use. Yeah, I know. I always go away from that and just say out of the galaxy. But extragalactic, yeah, that's another one. And New Jedi was great because it went so hard, actually made it feel substantial, right? And that's one of my favorite series. It's hard to decide between that and Legacy of the Force because Legacy has its depth there, where we have the threat of the galaxy and the union, like the brief union and stuff, and the peace treaty that happens between the Imperial Remnant and the Rebel or the New Republic. And then later on, Legacy of the Force, you have a different conflict, which, goes into more Sith related, back to the Sith related story, but it's still very interesting because it's a Skywalker this time. So it's hard to compare the two because they're very different in the threats and what's going on, how that impacts the Jedi, the galaxy, as a whole. So there you go. So let's go ahead and do the wheel spin to see who wins. And so if you are a channel member and you responded to the to my question on YouTube community, here on YouTube, on my community page here, then your name was put in the drawing. And let's see here real quick. Let me see. And I'll share with you guys, before we do the spin, I'll share with you guys what who was involved and who were their favorite characters. And those in the chat, if you want to share your favorite character, go ahead. I mean, that's perfectly fine. This is some of the perks I like to give channel members, is a chance to win copies of the paintings I do, and also 10% off any purchase. And that's even Star Wars and non-Star Wars related of paintings I've done. I just haven't built up my gallery just yet as I wanted it to be by now. So I apologize for that. So let's see here. Here we go. How does this look? Okay. And here we go. Oh, where's the wheel spin? Uh-oh, I just lost the damn thing, I think. Fuck. Ah, shit. All right. Technical difficulties here. Oh, no, there it is. Okay, that was weird. All right. So here's the wheel spin. The spinner. All right. So here we go. So we had Orange Hat, and he shared Volcron. So Darth Vite. And I always say his name wrong. It's just me. And then Kathy says Mara Jade Skywalker. Dead Man Walking, or Dad. I always say Dead Man. It's just a habit. Ben Skywalker. Open Airlock Policy, Billy. Lady Toriel, Quinlan Voss, and Jedi Padawan Trayla, Revan. So we have those there. So if you're a channel member and you didn't see that, I'm sorry. Next time you'll have a chance to, to get in and vote or whatever the challenge is for you guys, for a chance to win. Then that's it. So let's see here. And why is my internet saying it's like low right now? What the heck's going on? Probably because I have all of these windows up. All right, so let's go ahead. So good luck to all, and may the force be with you. So let's go ahead. And how do I spin this sucker? Spin. Orange Hat Review, you are the winner of this. Congratulations. So once I get a copy, I will actually email me so I can get your address. OG Starwar 77 at yahoo.com, and then just send me your I think I have your address because you did purchase, but it might, I don't think I saved it. So go ahead and send me your address so I can, once I get the print, I can give it to you. So congratulations on that. And I hope you enjoy this this little copy. This was a spontaneous one. I did a Jedi Knight solo, so Leia Organa solo as a Jedi Knight, and I used her traditional buns we see in A New Hope for this, and I did it with pastels, charcoal, and graphite. And so I did that, and I was like, that was very just a fun little sketch I wanted to do. And then I was like, okay, well, I want to do another one. Who should I do? And I was like, Yoda. So this time, Yoda, this is watercolor. So this one is watercolor. And so it's watercolor gouache Yoda image inspired by Attack of the Clones. So congratulations to you. Let's see who else is coming in here. Anybody else that hopped in? Oh, Quantum Cat. Hello, how are you doing? Being an EU channel, I surprised you haven't had a talk to Eckhart Ladder or no, I haven't. I have to schedule some EU talking EU conversations or interviews. But with that, like Eckhart Ladder, no, not yet. There's another one I wanted to get in. I forget his name, like geeky professor or whatever his name is, and he goes through the EU as well. And I think they're reviewing Shadows of the Empire book, I believe, right now. And I want to get him on as for talking EU interview. That would be fun. So just stay tuned. It's been a while since I had a talking EU. There's been a lot of things going on in my life right now that kind of slowed things down. But I will get back into my groove with this channel soon. Like my HoloNet journal was rescheduled twice, and so I didn't reschedule a third time. I think I'm just going to wait till the end of this month and just do March and April instead. So we'll have a double whammy on that one, and talking about events that happened in this time of Lucasfilm and Star Wars, of course, pre-Disney. And so stay tuned for that. So there was things that happened, whether it was community wise or my accident and stuff like that, that I was like, I can't do it now. So stay tuned for that. Stay tuned for that. And Soul Assassin says, I saw somewhere that said Leia's buns were inspired by female Mexican rebel hairstyles. That, and also you can look back at the Hopi. The Hopi women wore their buns similar to that as well. So there's a lot of like Southwest culture that was used for her bun hairstyle. So yeah. How OG Star Wars got her groove back. Yes. How I'm getting my groove back. Yes. And yeah. So I apologize for that. Life happens, and sometimes channels slow down. Sometimes they pick up and they're bam, bam, bam producing. And I remember I was producing a lot, like in the beginning, and then I had a break, and then I came back and started producing again. And it's an ebb and flow. Life happens, right? But as long as you guys return and keep watching, and I do bring out some content for you guys, and live streams are a very good way of communicating with my community here. And thank you guys for the support. And things will be okay. And that's like how life is. It's just like you roll with the punches, right? You roll with the punches. In fact, after I'm done here, I get to finally go pick out my brand new car after my accident, because my car got totaled. It was totaled out. So we're almost like vehicleless here in my household. Yeah, so I get to go get a brand new car after I'm done here. So that's exciting. And then somewhat life will go back to my normal. Exactly. So let's see here. So I wanted to go into, we're going to talk about smugglers. We're going to talk about some of the smugglers that, are listed in the poll, and the impact of smugglers in the universe, and, what their impact is basically, and how they were used and stuff. And and just have fun with that. But I also like to talk about compare and contrasting thing. And as you guys know, Luke Skywalker has always been my, my favorite character, the character that got me into the EU, the character that got me into Star Wars, because I wanted to know more about him. Like, what happened with him after Return of the Jedi? Did he fulfill his promise to his masters about continuing to teach what he learned and, bringing back the Jedi, and so that's what got me into the EU. I wanted to know more. I wanted to know more about Luke. Like, what did he do? And of course, Han and Leia, right? Because they were like the big three of the OT. And excuse me, yawn. Yeah, and so that's what got me into the EU. And my first novel was Trusa Bakura. Usually, it's majority. It was the Thrawn trilogy, right? So mine was Trusa Bakura, and that happened right after, like just hours after, Return of the Jedi. So yeah, and you have email. Thank you, Orange Chat. And yeah. So that was an interesting novel, and it didn't shy me away. Some people are like, oh well, don't read, a lesser known novel because it might shy you away from continuing the EU. And I don't think Trusa Bakura did that for me. In fact, it made me more intrigued. Like, okay, so we get to see Luke, how he felt after being struck by the Force lightning, and how it calcified his bones or whatever, and how it basically crippled him. He had to basically stay still and let his body heal. And and he put himself in a healing trance, I guess you could say, and stayed still for time being and stuff. But he also had to respond to a threat as well. And so that was a very interesting story, and getting to see these species that we've never seen before is intriguing as well. So that didn't shy me away. And then I read the Thrawn trilogy. Then I went back and read Shadows of Mindor. That was kind of odd, but I didn't. It's not my favorite, but it's not the worst either for me. And so that one was very interesting in how that played out. So, but seeing the evolution of Luke Skywalker as I read along in the EU has been very interesting, to say the least. And so, who are your guys' favorite characters? Because I asked that of my channel members who put their name in for a chance to win the copy of Yoda. And so, who is yours? Who is your favorite EU character? And so, what I'm going to do here is I'm going to share this article real quick. I thought it was funny. Of course, it's Screen Rat, so this is take it with the humor, take it with the grotesque. With the grotesque, cringy article it is. And we'll go from there. And this is just going to be a compare and contrast, because this is like, what if Luke Skywalker killed Ben Solo? Star Wars would have been different, very different. So what we're going to do is compare and contrast this two, because this falls in the same timeline as Legacy of the Force. We're going to compare and contrast this to Luke and Jason versus Luke and Ben Solo. So the 2.0 of Jason, the knockoff of Jason, the knockoff of Luke in this faux lore. And then we're going to go and talk about Smugglers. And then I also have something about James Earl Jones I wanted to share as well. So, and if you guys haven't had a chance to vote on the poll, go do that as you guys come in. And let's see here. And Soul Assassin says lots of EU characters to choose from. Right. And like I said, it can vary from with story to story that you're reading. So if you're going back and revisiting a certain timeline, you might find out that, oh, wait, maybe I like so-and-so better. And it can change as you revisit the lore, and it has for me many times. But for overall, Luke Skywalker is the one that got me into Star Wars and got me into the EU. So I have to, I pay homage to him, and he's my first, I guess you could say hero and character I liked of the Star Wars universe. So there you go. So let's go ahead and look at this cringy article and discuss this. So if you guys are familiar with Legacy of the Force and Luke and Jason and their back and forths in the series, then please share in the comments as we go along and share what your thoughts are about this or whatever. We're not going to go too far into this, but I was just like, okay, Star Wars news. Let's see what's going on. And I thought, oh, well, we could do a compare and contrast since I haven't done one in a while, like full video. We could do one here on Coffee Chat. So what if Luke Skywalker killed Ben Solo? Star Wars would be very different. Luke Skywalker, Jake nearly killed Ben Solo, resulting in the end of his Jedi Academy, or in the end of his Jedi Academy and Ben's fall to the dark side. What if Luke had done it? So, and it says, how different would Star Wars be if Luke Skywalker killed Ben Solo? Well, Star Wars is very different now because of the franchise being bought out by Disney and what they're doing to it now. So so Luke Skywalker, and it's very different. Perhaps the most controversial moment of this notoriously controversial Star Wars The Last Jedi, Luke's lapse in judgment set the course of the entirety of the sequel trilogy. And this is where we have had many discussions on social media, like here on YouTube, on Twitter, about how this has ignored the fundamentals of Luke's journey in the OT and his training, what he has learned from his training and his mistakes during that time frame. So this is like he basically regresses. He is like in the lore, he is taught through his training not to respond to visions of the future, right? Like the future is always in motion, and if you respond, you can potentially change an outcome, and or it can be potentially dangerous for you. And so what Luke did here is like basically ignored the training he got about that and went ahead and reacted on, a potential vision of the future. Because, they always said in Star Wars, like a vision of the future is not always the right one. And there's so many versions of that. You don't know which one to respond to, and you shouldn't, right? So even Luke, even though Luke could go through with his grim idea, his near miss was enough to push Ben to the dark side. And I think Ben was already turning at that point. So it wasn't his push that turned him to the dark side, from what I've researched. Let's see here. Let's go down here. So what would have happened if Luke killed his nephew before he became Kylo Ren? How would he have fit into the events of the sequel trilogy, and what would have happened to Rey, Han, and Leia? So Luke's reasoning for nearly killing his nephew was that he could tell that Ben was feeling the pull to the dark side. So they said that he had a vision of it and he felt it, but that's still not a reason to respond, because Jedi are trained to not, ignite their saber on an innocent person who's not armed, right? So they don't do that. And that's what he did. As someone who had previously been a part of the battle between Obi-Wan and Darth Vader, As someone who had previously been a part of the battle between Obi-Wan and Darth Vader and been tasked with killing his own father, however, Luke was no stranger to the idea of taking out a family member. So he didn't want to kill his own father, and he was against that. So this is where the writer needs to do his history, his research and stuff. And they go on and say, of course, Luke didn't ultimately kill Vader, but an older, more disillusioned Master Skywalker may have just decided had to do what was necessary. No, because so this is where another thing where the creators of the sequel trilogy, particularly this movie, Rian Johnson, ignored the fact that Luke was his main character arc was redemption. And that's not common among Jedi, because they believed that once you go dark, you can't be redeemed, right? And Luke's like, I can't kill my father. There's still good in him, And so ultimately, redemption was a part of basically the catalyst to the prophecy of destroying the Sith, right? And so Luke was the catalyst to that. And so this is where he should have learned that, he has the ability to redeem. He has the hope and the faith and all that to redeem, but instead he goes and wants to kill his nephew. So that makes no sense whatsoever. Let's see here. There was two ways Luke's fear of Ben's turning to the dark side could have worked out in his mind. One in which Luke remembered that he turned his father to the light side against all odds. Boom, there you go. But this is just what ifs right here. And another is which he was too afraid to take the chance again. As fear is the path to the dark side, enough fear in Luke's mind about a resurgence in Sith power could have spurred him to execute such a horrific act. So let's see here. Let's go down here. Let me see what you guys have to say before I move on here. And let's see here. Orange Hat says, if Luke killed Kylo Ren, Mark Hamill would have left the project outright. And let's see here. Best thing on the morning on Twitter, you are on this council, but we do not catch you the rank of master. I love that. And Keck44, how are you doing? What are you enjoying? Let's see here. And Chaos says, I find it hard to believe that Kylo fell to the dark side just because he was hearing voices in his head. Well, that's what they were saying. And that's what was confirmed too in, I guess, the Rise of Palpatine, is that basically, Palpatine basically told him, I am every voice in your head. And as he goes through every single, like character like Snoke and Vader. And then let's see here. Soul Assassin, we all know Screen Rant writes random articles for the clicks. They are dying brand. They are dying brand. Yes, they are. And let's see. Average student, hello, how are you doing? Love the poll. Jolie Bindo doesn't get near enough love. Such a great character, right? And that's why I wanted to put him on there too, because of that. And so hopefully, he at least got a vote, at least one vote. So let's go back to this cringy article. And then let's talk about, let's compare and contrast with this and Luke versus Darth Caedus. Caedus or Caedus. So what do you guys say? Because I've heard it both ways. Although Kylo Ren destroys Luke's academy in The Last Jedi, the school would no doubt have ceased to exist even if Luke had killed him. How is that? How would have ceased to exist if he would have killed him? Again, Luke was not a bad person. He would no doubt be horrified by what he had done and, like in the film, deemed himself unfit to teach. And that's the thing. So what do you guys think about that? Him running away because he went against all of his training, basically, and tried to kill his nephew. And then and then Palpatine, from what I hear, it wasn't Kylo that destroyed the Jedi Academy. It was Palpatine's Force lightning. So what do you guys think about that? It's like all odd here. It's like the more they try to fix something from the movies in their EU, their novels, the more they muddy up everything. This is not to mention what may have happened if the Academy students and Force sensitives were to find out what Luke had done. So if they found out that Luke, killed or had killed or tried to kill, Ben Solo for his dark dreams, I guess you could say, and visions. What do you think, like as Jedi and protecting the universe against the Sith, do you think they would have been offended? I don't think so, because Jedi and Sith has that, they're enemies to each other. So do you think that the Jedi themselves, like going back to Exar Kun, when Luke started the Academy on Yavin 4, and they all teamed together to try to destroy Exar Kun, right? And Luke was put in the coma and stuff. And Luke didn't believe. So this is another comparison here. Luke really didn't believe, and he doubted, and Kip and stuff like that, and there's this back and forth going on there, right? And he even told Corran Horn, like, oh, just leave him alone. You're just antagonizing him, blah, blah, blah. So we had to see a very passive Luke when it came to that situation, which put him into a coma, right? And so with that, comparing this right here with that, the Jedi, his students, teamed together, along with his niece and nephew, teamed together to help save Luke and destroy Exar Kun. So this is another compare and contrast. And to me, I would think that the students, if it dealt with Sith, they would unite against that. So I don't know where this person is going, or even if they know the history. So let's see. Potentially, younglings would not have flocked to a Jedi Academy opened by Anakin Skywalker after events of Star Wars: Revenge of the Sith. What does that have to do with Luke? So just like the Last Jedi, it's also possible Luke would have decided it was time for the Jedi to end after killing Ben. That didn't make sense either. Luke was noticeably hesitant to train Rey. She didn't train her at all, for fear she would turn to the dark side. And that's the thing. Luke was hesitant to train at first too. We've seen that in the Thrawn trilogy, right? He was like doubting, like, what if I train and what if one of them turns dark? And that's just like Leia with having kids. What if I have kids and they end up being another Vader? There's that potential. But the thing is that you have to get past that. You have to make that leap and that jump and have hope and faith and know that there could be a chance, but know that more than likely creating more Jedi and stuff like that will counter and just like with Exar Kun, defeat any, dark Jedi or Sith that come about, right? This is all addition to the fact that Luke may not have been able to face Han and Leia, and this is God. And that's another thing. Luke faced Han and Leia about Jason Solo. They were that close and stuff. Again, the creators of this lore here do not understand Star Wars, do not understand Luke, do not understand the relationship between Han and Leia and Luke. And so on and so forth. So that's another thing here. Let's see, let's go on. Oh my God, no, let's see here. Oh, it just goes on and on and on here. So I didn't go through all this thing here. So if you would have killed him, one, then the threat of the Sith, like the threat of the galaxy, may have lessened. The threat of Kylo Ren would not be there. And his Jedi Academy probably would have been strong. If you would compare and contrast it to, Jedi Academy and Legacy of the Force and how the Jedi teamed together against the Sith, yes. So this is like saying, like, okay, so the Jedi would just judge Luke. His students would judge Luke for preventing a Sith from emerging, right? And turn away from him rather than, saying, you know what, we have another threat coming up, and so we need to team together. So this is where this disconnect with the Star Wars lore, with Luke, with the Sith and all this, and with the attentions of the Jedi versus Sith, is dismissed. And this person who wrote this article has no clue what Star Wars is about. And let me see who it is. I didn't even name who it was. So it's Owen Denoff. And so they don't think about that. They don't think about that. Let's see here. What do you guys have to say? We all know Screen Rat writes random. Oh yeah, I already read that one. Let's see here. Oh, Keck is enjoying iced tea. Awesome. And then Jake ran away. Luke would have helped. Right. And that's the thing. Luke would have been like, I went in there to confront blah, blah, blah. There would have been some kind of story panned out to where, but we would, okay. So instead of saying that, I went in there to stop him from turning evil by trying to kill him, the real Luke would have gone in there to, have a conversation, have counsel. That's because we've seen that played out in the original EU with Luke, that he would have went in and had counsel, try to redeem. We've seen that in the OT. He had that counsel with his father. They had a mind play between each other. One was trying to redeem, one was trying to convert, right? And ultimately hope and love won out. And that was the whole thing about Star Wars. It was about love. Love is the redeeming quality, and that was what redeemed Anakin, right? And so Luke, if he truly loved his nephew, he would have tried to redeem. If he really truly loved his brother and his or his brother-in-law and his sister, he would have, sought counsel with them on what's going on, like we've seen with him and his family in Legacy of the Force. And so this right here doesn't make sense. They forget all the little nuances and points of the plot that George set up for Luke Skywalker. And the redemption is about love. Love is something that made Anakin want to save his wife, but that love turned twisted to where he wanted, he was so desperate with the attachment of, of like, if I lose her, I don't know who I'm going to be, that he went and sought counsel and to become a Sith in order to save his family, which was the wrong way to go about it, right? Like we already learned in Legacy of the Force that what redemption really is, and Ben Skywalker really like hits it on the head with that. He's like, love, attachment's not about marriage and family and having all this stuff. It's about losing yourself and stop existing and stop thriving once you lose that person. Right. And that's what it's about. And that's what we've seen with Anakin Skywalker. He stopped thriving because of the fear of loss. He stopped being himself and couldn't be himself because he was in such fear and loss of like potential losing Padme. And that's what driven him to the dark side. And so that's what attachment is about. It's not about marriage. It's not about loving someone. It's not about forming a family and having a relationship. It's about losing yourself after that person you love dies. And that was the whole pretense of that. And so I went on a little tangent about that. And that's what love, that's what the point about love is like, you don't lose yourself in it. Right. But love is redeeming. Love is the redeeming quality. And that's what Luke used, was love. And that's what he tried to use with his own family, like even with Darth Caedus or Jason. And he realized that, Caedus is like, I'm not having this shit because I don't care about my family now. And we see that because he wanted to kill his family. He wanted to kill his mom and dad. Right. And Luke realizing like, no matter what my intentions are, if I try to confront Darth Caedus and go into battle with him, no matter what the outcome is, there's still going to be darkness, whether I turn or I die and Caedus stays, right? And so he recognized that. That's what you call self-control. That's what you call self-control from training, knowing yourself as a Jedi Grand Master, right? And we're at this point where in this timeline in Disney Star Wars, this faux lore, that Luke should know himself as a master, right? He should know his abilities. He should know his training. He should know that acting on an intention like that is completely dangerous, and that he's going against his fundamental training that he learned from his masters. And with this shows that the lore, it totally, like, the creators totally ignore, or maybe they don't even know that they're ignorant to the lore about Luke Skywalker, about Jedi training, about what happened in the original trilogy in his training, those nuances that us fans have been recognizing and pointing out since The Last Jedi came out. And so with Luke and Caedus, he had to have someone else, and it had to be his sister. It had to be Caedus's or Jason Sola's twin sister, who they know each other very well. She had to get Mandalorian training because Jason would be expecting her normal, her Jedi training, and he knows they know each other's art in the arts of saber dueling and stuff. They know each other's skills, so she had to get unconventional training. And that's what made that storyline also pivotal. And then their duel at the end was so heartbreaking. If you've read the story, and how she held her brother at the end of it, and how she was responding, and how she felt their bond and stuff, is so heartbreaking. And I think that's well done compared to what they're trying to do here with this story, with this full lore here. And so they totally went against Luke's character arc to give some kind of twists and turns, I guess you could say, and subvert your expectations, and it's not well executed. What George set up was ignored. And we'll probably still continue to talk about this when people bring this up, and and rightfully so. And so what do you guys think? So let me go ahead and scroll down here because I went on a little rant there. And let's see here. We have, hey Eddie, how you doing, fellow, my native brother here? How are you doing? Thank you for coming in. And what are you enjoying? Are you enjoying any coffee, wakalapi, or anything? KS Man says, I just don't think Kylo can live up to the legacy of not just Jason, but also Jaina, Anakin Solo, and Ben Skywalker. Oh, I know. He's like the only grandchild of Anakin in this lore, and he can't even live up to even Ben Skywalker. He can't even, like in no way with Anakin as well. And Jaina too, she's the sword of the Jedi, and I wish I wish they would have just still published, allowed that trilogy to be published. And like they allowed some of them other novels, like Kenobi was published after during the buyout. I wish they would allowed, for Sword of the Jedi to be published. And OG Star Wars, hey OG, and then so we have Bahamut Zero, Bahamut, yeah. Sorry about that if I said that wrong. And then Dharma, hello, how are you doing? And my allergies are acting up today, so I kind of sound a little bit congested. Sorry about that. And then Ranger says, Cadus saw the betrayal as a means to an end, but failed to realize the cost was greater than the return of all those around him. Let's see here. And then thank you so much for saying hello. Yeah, so I just wanted to touch bases on this one here and compare and contrast. I really didn't get into the why, how Star Wars would be different if he had killed Ben Solo, because we all know it would be bullshit. This person's spinning some bullshit theories here without even knowing the lore, and the training and what had happened in the OT with Luke's training. And so there's no need to. We already compared and contrast that, and maybe I'll do a full video between Luke with Ben Solo, Luke versus Jason Solo, just for the hell of it. I haven't done a compare and contrast video in a very long time, and I think that would be fun to visit. I really do. And as you've heard some of my stuff already, it'd be fun. So let's see here. Let's go ahead and get out of this shitty article here. Let's see here. Close out. There we go. So what do you guys think? So if you know the story between Luke and Jason Solo, and then the story, and then of course from what you have seen or heard or read about with Luke and Ben Solo, what do you think about that? Do you agree with the direction they've gone with Luke and his nephew in the full lore Star Wars lore? Or do you favor Luke versus Cadus? And I'm going to always refer to this novel because it's my favorite out of the series, is Inferno. So Legacy of the Force Inferno, where you have Luke force projecting himself to talk with Cadus about the battle going on. And then he disappears, right? And then again, Luke goes onto the ship and goes directly to Cadus, and he's not force projecting himself. And mind you, he didn't die. He didn't die after he got done force projecting himself, right? Not like you see in the full lore. And then the second time around, he goes and confronts him about Omos being killed, about Ben Skywalker being the one who did the deed. And then Jason's basically threatens the Jedi Academy on Ossus, and that pisses Luke off, but he's still calm. He's still cool. He's still collected. And all in this conversation, he pins Jason down in his chair without even flinching or making any motions or gestures, physical gestures. So that's how much control Luke Skywalker had of the Force. That's basically we're seeing him in his prime, right? In his strength. And we see him, really strong in Fate of the Jedi, but this is like we start to see him in his prime. And and Jason's like, he can't move. He's pinned down into the chair. And Luke is like talking to him and confronting him. And at the end, after he pisses off his uncle, Luke lets him go, lets him go because he's got him pinned down in the force in his chair, breaks his chair, lets him go. Jason kind of rolls out like a child, basically, is how it's described, out of the chair. And, Jason's, mature enough to know not to respond back. My cat is over here trying to get into the window. Not to respond back foolishly and ignite his saber and fight Luke, because he's already pissed off his uncle. He knows that he is maybe near Luke's match, but he knows Luke can beat him in a battle. And so that was very interesting. And then later on, you get Jason torturing his cousin Ben Skywalker in the embrace of pain, a Vong torture device, right? The organic torture device. And Luke is going on there to confront Jason anyways, but then he realizes, and he's hiding in the Force, and he's got so much control of that only Ben can feel him. Everybody else thought that Jaina shot Ben or Luke down in friendly fire. And so, because Luke is hiding in the Force. And so everybody's mourning the loss of Luke. They thought they lost him. And, and so finally, Luke gets into the torture chamber on Anakin Solo, and they commence their fight. So that's a very awesome fight there. It is on Audible. I don't think the whole fight is on Audible, but you do get a lot of the portion of the fight. It's a good read. I suggest that novel if you want something to read that is more coherent, more to the continuity of the story and the continuity of Luke's arc from the OT. So that's a great story. So there we go. So I suggest Legacy of the Force. Inferno is my favorite novel out of the series. Troy Denning did such a spectacular job with it. So I suggest that. And then so we have 9 beautiful souls here. You guys, please hit the like button. And if you're coming in, please share with me what you are enjoying. What's your beverage? I am sipping on coffee with you guys as this is Coffee Chat. So let's see what you guys have to say. I don't know much about Luke and Jason, but hated Jake and angsty Vader. Yeah. So I suggest go, and if you go and read Legacy of the Force. A New Jedi Order is not a must read for that, but you start getting an idea of Jason's fall. And then that goes into the sequel of it, which is Darkness Trilogy, where you start seeing more of Jason's thought process going to the dark side and all that. Very interesting read. And then Legacy of the Force, where you start seeing his fall, his reason, the events of it and how he becomes Darth Caedus and all of that. So I suggest that. It's one of my favorite series. And then Soul Assassin says, Luke was scary when he threatened Jason about harming the Padawans. Yes. Oh my God. And I keep on wanting to share that clip. I wonder if I could share it with you guys before we move on. I wonder if I could pull that up. Let me see here. I don't have it downloaded on my Audible. It's right now I am listening to Allies from Fate of the Jedi. I'm going through that series. I'm going to pull some clips and share as EU shorts. So I'm going through that right now. Most of them, I think all of them are unabridged. So that's a very good, series to listen to because it's unabridged. So it's not just plot heavy. It's got every single point of the story going on in it. And so I suggest that as well. But that is such an amazing fight or amazing conversation. And then Orange Hat says, if I remember right, Caedus was going to put Ben in the embrace of pain and torture device. Yeah, he did put him in there. He was in the embrace of pain. And so that was a crazy one right there. I really want to play that for you guys. So share with me what you think about this compare and contrast that I shared with you. If you read Legacy, what do you think about Jason Solo versus Ben Solo? So share that with me here. And then we're going to go on and talk about the smugglers and check out the poll and share with me who your favorite smuggler is. If they're not listed on the poll, share with me. in the comments who is your favorite. Let me see here, and I'm going to try to pull up that while we're chatting here. Inferno, because like I said, I just love. And I was going to try to pull it up on my laptop here because I do have Audible on my laptop, but I don't want too many windows pulled up here. Let's see here. Soul Assassin. The Brace of Pain sounds like fun. That's very Sith of you, sir. That's very Sith of you. Very much in Sith of you. Let's see here. Inferno. Let me see her. Why aren't you showing up to where I need? Okay, you're pulling up every other novel that's called Inferno, but not this one that I need. Let me go to the library here. It's usually one that I can access easy because it's my favorite. Yep, I'm going to download it right now. And I think I remember what chapter it is. So we're going to listen to that as well because I want to get you guys excited about exploring the EU and potential new stories you want to read about. And by sharing something that may be a spoiler for you, I guess that would kind of be, but just one scenario of the whole overall story might get you pumped to read it. And that's how I see that. So hopefully, because if you guys are a big Luke Skywalker fan, like Luke Skywalker got you into Star Wars, like he did for me, this is something that you're going to be like, holy crap. Okay, I want to know more. I want to know how Luke got to this point with his training and his Jedi and all of this stuff. And wow, his niece and nephew are that old, and they survived this long. And Leia did have a fear about having, birth a Vader, and basically one of them, turning to the dark side, so it's such intriguing. And then you have like the non-Jedi related stories like X-Wing series, which is another one I suggest you to read, is X-Wing series. And that goes into more of the starfighters, the battles, and what's going on with the war, and gets you into the war, but not Jedi related. So, and that goes with, if you're in Wedge Antilles fan, or Corran Horn, or even Tycho Selchu, there you go. So let's see here. I did a versus stream with Cadus versus Kylo. It was no contest. Was I on that one? Was I on that one with you guys? I'm not sure. Maybe I couldn't make it, but I know that I was. I thought that I remember you doing that, and I don't remember if I was on there or not with you. Maybe I couldn't make it. Want me to DM you the clip you made? Sure. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, DM me so I don't have to download it because it's still downloading it. So yeah, go ahead. I know. Thank you so much. And I'll go check it out. Let's see here. Yeah, and let's see what Chaos Man has to say. And although I haven't read Legacy of the Force, Jason is extremely more powerful than Kylo. He not only has access to the Force abilities that are rare, but can also go against some tough opponents. Excuse me. Yeah, my allergies are just kicking my ass today, you guys. All right. Let's see here. Okay. There we go. Back to normal voice. All right. Yeah. So he did, and what's so fascinating about Jason is that, he went on a hiatus. He went on a sabbatical, I guess you could say, or exploration of learning about the Force. He had so many questions about the Force, and that was noted in the New Jedi Order. And he was granted to go on this hiatus, which later Luke kind of regretted. He's like, I shouldn't have let him go. And so he learned about the Angting monks and, and all the different Force societies and how they viewed the Force, how they used the Force, and how, like, even with some Force societies, the Force lightning is slightly different. And we know the Jedi can do Force judgment or whatever it's called. And it's a type of lightning that cripples people, but doesn't kill them. The intention is not to kill, it's to cripple. And so that's what Jason went through, and that's we get to learn more about, like, the Jedi and the Sith were only the Force users, right? And that we have the Fallen, and then we had the Dathomirian witches and all of that, and how they used it. They may not have called it light or dark side, but the intentions, if you use the Force for dark intentions or bad intentions, that's basically using the dark side of the Force. And that's even stated in the lore. So even if you're not a Jedi or a Sith, how you use the Force either was dark or light. Let's see here. And all right, I'll pull that up here pretty quick. Thank you, Soul Assassin. And then Bomb at Zero says, I read Rogue Squadron of the X-Wing series. Then Disney renamed the... Yes, that was such an... I was so upset about that. I'm like, don't rename it. It's called X-Wing series for a reason, because it's not all about Rogue Squadron. We have the Wraith Squadron. We get the birth of Wraith Squadron, which has phenomenal characters in that as well. That was stupid. Yes, you were in the stream. Okay, yeah, I thought so. Okay, because I know there was a couple I couldn't make it on. All right, let's see here. It's not gonna let me click. I have to go into my own stream to click it. So click it. Okay. Let's see here. So I'm gonna bring that up here. Oh wait, that's not the right one. Let's see here. I thought that was the one. That's the orange hat one. Where's the... Okay, you didn't share that one yet. So if you could find it, if not, then the thing is downloaded here, but I want to share that before we go on. Let's see. So it's 10:05. I'll give you guys another 5 minutes. If you haven't had a chance to vote on who your favorite out of the 4 in the poll is of Smugglers, please do that so that we can get that going. Let's see here. Wait to skip. Let me see, which one is it? Oh, it's not even there yet. Let me see. The chapter. Let's see here. Is this it? Let's see here. None of it directed at him, of course. All right, no, it's still, the chapter I need is not downloaded just yet, so we'll have to wait here. All right, so let's go ahead. I'm still going to share the clip, but let's go ahead and shift gears a little bit here. I did want to talk about an article in Insider that has James Earl Jones being the voice of Darth Vader. We may not get to that, so that may be the first topic of next week, because I like to share those articles with you guys that are in the Insider. And this is from 1995 Insider issue. And so I thought it would, it'd be interesting to share that with you guys as well. But let's go ahead and talk about the Smugglers here. And I did, damn it, I clipped out of my stream here, but that's okay. Let's see here. Oh, let's get your shit together, Laura. Let's see here. So basically, Smuggler basically was a free trader in the universe. And we know that depending on what is needed, that the New Republic, Old Republic, the Empire used him, and even the Hutts used him. Some of them were informational brokers, like Talon Card was mainly an informational broker, and he is very good at that. And I think Timothy Zahn really fleshed that out very well. And he learned that from George Cardass. And so he not only, he did do smuggling, but a lot of his stuff was collecting information. And so I thought that was really, really awesome seeing that. And then, so they had that impact because, they were the ones to go to, especially if it was something illegal, like spice. Then you got the Hutts and the criminal aspect of it. And then you have like the informational broker, like Talon Card. And so he played both ends, right? So he played both ends. So he played to the Imperial Remnant side on information and even the New Republic. So whoever had the biggest wallet, right? The biggest purse, he basically, but then he also put his own thing, like, okay, if it's gonna help out his organization, then he basically was going to favor that as well. So there's times where he teamed up with the New Republic and and they still had to pay, but still, gave him vital information because, if his organization was going to be threatened by the Imperial Remnant, he's going to go with the side that's not going to be the least threatening, right? And then you have, like, during the Death Star, the early years of getting the Death Star plans, you have smugglers who went in to help with aiding the Rebel Alliance and even helping retrieve the Death Star plans. And another, like a smuggler important to that is Bria Theron. I think that I would say her character needed to be fleshed out a little bit more, that it was just there for Han's story in a way. But she is a smuggler as well. And through her smuggling, she betrayed Han and Lando. And Lando, and Han took the fall of it. And that was the what do you say? The fall of their friendship, I guess you can say, if you guys are familiar with the story. And so share with me, who is your favorite smuggler and your favorite smuggler story? And let's see here. And what did you say? I voted for Jolie Bendo, the Jedi that became a smuggler, right? Let's see here. Anything can be smuggled for the right price. Exactly, for the right price. And let's see here, Soul Assassin, please hit the like button. Yes, you guys, please hit that like button. And Chaos Man, I still cannot believe Disney had Han be given his last name by an Imperial officer. Oh my God. Yeah. Someone tried to say, okay, so this is a Rey defender was saying, oh yeah, well, and she compared like Han getting his name, by an Imperial being enlisted in the army or the Imperial Navy. And then like Leia, she compared all this to why it justifies Rey's taking the name Skywalker. So she used Han and how he got his last name, how Leia was adopted and how she got her last name, how Ben used, or Obi-Wan used the name Ben as justification. And I was like, this is so cringy. It's there's no comparison. Each one of them, there was a purpose. She was just like, oh yeah, I'm a Skywalker. There's no purpose to that whatsoever. No purpose whatsoever for that. But if you read the Han Solo trilogy, you'll know that Han's name came from basically his family, from the surname, his father, right? And his family was killed off and he was taken as a child. And his family was basically a significant family, Corellian family. And that was alluded to in the Han Solo trilogy, because he didn't know, for a while, he didn't know who he was. He didn't know what family he was from. He just knew that he was found orphaned. He had no recollection to what had happened to him. And Shrike, while drunk, revealed, Han's lineage. And basically not really saying, but alluding to why, why he took this boy. And, and then we get into the courtship of Princess Leia, where we find out a little bit more of Han's lineage, to where they were, like rulers of Corellia, basically, and how their family fell and became smugglers in a sense. And I think that I wish the story was fleshed out more, but then I kind of like it being a mystery. So, we don't know exactly what happened to the Solo family. And, and everything is very gray, shady, sketchy. And becoming criminals and smugglers, it's probably a way of them hiding out from their family being, further killed off into extinction, right? That's just my guess. So what do you guys think about that? Oh my gosh, that tweet about the characters getting their names was cringe as hell. Wanted to wreck her, but the tweet did more damage than I could, right? And then the greatest smuggling story from the greatest smuggler is Han Solo, where he smuggled a Jedi and farm boy to blow up the planet, or blow up a planet, which led to a rebellion destroying the Imperial super weapon. There you go. And we know with Cade Skywalker that, he, the one Sith destroyed the Jedi Academy. And, through his, I guess you could say his plight and, his sorrow and his everything that had happened, he's like, he basically turned away from the Jedi and became a smuggler. And he was rescued by a smuggler anyway. So that became his life. And he didn't want nothing to do with the Jedi anymore. He lost faith. I think that was well done compared to what they did to Luke Skywalker in the Disney faux lore. So it's kind of like they tried to give Luke Skywalker a little bit of Cade Skywalker's background, but it didn't make sense. Cade had a reason to fall, or to, turn his back on the Jedi, turn his back on the Force, turn his back on his legacy. Luke didn't have that reason. whatsoever. He turned his back on the Jedi. He turned his back on his Skywalker heritage. And there was really no reason to do that other than that from what we've learned now is that he's been teaching. He didn't recreate a new Jedi Order and correct whatever wrongs the old Jedi had. He continued to train them in the old Jedi ways. And that even goes with attachment. So instead of like following with what Revenge of the Sith set up, especially the movie novel is still, canon basically, because that's the movie novel, right? And so Yoda says, that Luke and Leia basically would be the ones to, bring back the Jedi, like in a new way. And they totally ignored that. They totally ignore that arc. They totally ignore that setup that George was creating, that Luke is going to pass on what he learned and basically correct the wrong and do what his father couldn't do. And they completely ignored that for the sake of, elevating their new characters. And that just doesn't sit well with me. And yeah, I was curious. The minute that they like, okay, the EU is not canon anymore, I was still curious about where they were going to go. I'm like, okay, if they're going to create a whole new story, but still keep in continuity with the characters that were created by George and stuff, I'll just check it out. I'll check it out. Whatever. They want creative freedom. Yeah, I'll check it out. And I guess I expected them to honor what George did. Now, boy, was I fucking fooled, right? Boy, was I fooled. And lo and behold, they did not honor what, George did with his characters and what he was setting up for his characters. And we witnessed that through the Disney trilogy, and then also through Mandalorian, also through Book of Boba Fett. All of George's characters are being destroyed. If you haven't noticed that, they're changing their arc and they're turning them into something completely different. And that still doesn't sit well with me. It doesn't. And so I will continue to talk about it because that's my part of my compare and contrast, So let's see here. And then let's see here. I really like the underworld aspect of Star Wars series. Every Sith, Jedi, Republic, or Empire needs people of questionable backgrounds to do their dirty work. Right. And that's the thing. And so George Cardass was one of them, right? And he was like at the time of his, I guess you could say, his empire he created through smuggling. He did create a massive smuggling ring. He was like in total control of the smuggling ring and stuff. If you've read his story, like through Outbound Flight and all that, and even through the Thrawn duology, the Hannah Thrawn duology, basically, George Cardass had this little empire, this smuggling ring he created, and he was kidnapped by a dark Jedi, and basically they ended up on Dagobah, and Yoda and the dark Jedi had a fight. They had this huge force fight going on, right? And eventually Yoda defeated the dark Jedi and stuff like that. And George was kind of caught up in that and stuff like that. And he was healed by Yoda. And he was telling George Cardass, basically, I'm just condensing everything here. And so basically Yoda's like, I healed you through this healing process. You obtain these gifts. Don't, this gift of life, and don't degrade it. Don't disrespect it. Use it wisely. And he didn't. George Cardass didn't. He used it to benefit him, and in a very greedy way. And then from that, he started, aging and dying and stuff. And he went back to Yoda for him to heal him and help him out. And Yoda's like, you squandered this gift I gave you. So now you're going to have to live with it, basically. But if you want another chance, go see the acting monks and learn what they have to teach you and offer you and blah blah blah. And so from that, George got humbled. George Cardas got humbled very much, and that's when he disappeared. And when he disappeared, and the huts were destroyed, our Jabba's empire was destroyed. That was the rise, I guess you could say, of Talon Card. And Talon Card, he basically is a very interesting character because yeah, he is shady in a sense, but he also cares about the people he works for. He's no nonsense. He's not a pushover, not whatsoever. He's not a pushover. If you wrong him, he has no he'll kill you too. He doesn't regret like having those intentions against you if you wrong his organization or him and stuff like that. He doesn't think twice about you know, putting you to task. And so that's when Talon Card rose. And Talon Card was an employee, I guess you could say, of George Cardas. And so that's the story between the two. And I thought it was very, very much intriguing to learn about that history with George Cardas and then going into Talon Card. And so I suggest to explore that. Let's see here. I would like to see a follow-up story about Kate Skywalker and the Minot crew. Yeah, that would be fun. And what they've been up to. Okay, but Miss OG, Dave Filoni will save Star Wars with Ahsoka. No. And then we have Andy. How are you doing? How are you doing? Let's see. I like to consider the radio drama to be extended edition of the original trilogy, especially with episode 4 in that it was nearly 5 hours long. Yeah, those radio dramas are pretty cool. You'd have to really really commit the time to listen to it. Like for a couple of days, like I said before, like if you're going to do Audible and you don't have time to read and it's unabridged, especially, then play it while you're doing chores around the house or while you're driving or whatever, and go from there. So, and thank you so much. So consider becoming part of the OG Star Wars Twitter community. Yes. So thank you so much. You guys go check me out on that as well. And so with, let me see who else. Oh, and Kate Skywalker, we talked about. Let me go ahead and pull up anybody. If you're coming in, go place your vote. You have a couple minutes. I got to pull up my YouTube channel here, the actual video we're doing here, and get that here. So let me see here. So we have Kate Skywalker at 43%. So if you're tuning in, go vote right now. You have a couple minutes here. Talon Card at 40%. So we have they're kind of neck to neck here. Vilmar at 7% and Jolie at 10%. So Villy, basically, he was fun. He was fun when he was interacting with Quinlan Voss, and he, so he's a very shady character. He is all about himself, basically. And so if you know his story, go vote for him. I mean, but of course, I'm not going to try to, he's not your favorite smuggler, then don't. And then Jolie too, as well. He is, Kate Skywalker, like I said, is Jedi turned smuggler, and Jolie is smuggler turned Jedi. And so if you're familiar with Jolie's story and he intrigued you and stuff, then give him a chance. But again, this is all about who you think out of the 4. But if you don't see yours there, like Merrick's Horn and Booster Tarek, they are awesome as well. Booster, he is the only one. He's a badass. And like I said, maybe I should have just not put him on there, and I should have just put him in the place of Talon Card. But he is the only one that got a Star Destroyer and painted it red, had it painted red. And that is like his flagship. How crazy is that? And I think, let me see, I think Ben Skywalker was born on the Errant Venture. I think so, because when the time of his birth, they were fleeing. Mara Jade and Luke Skywalker are fleeing Coruscant because Failure put out a warrant for their arrest. So there you go. Failure is one of those characters. Oh my God. It's like you love to hate him, and he was badly done in a sense, but then he had a good redemption. So let's see here. Jolie Bindu, talk about his smuggling career. Yep. So go ahead and check that out. Let's see here. As soon as the EU was decreed non-canon and the hackling started, I could tell it was reset the machine. So our crappy scores are the high scores scenario. Yeah. Right. And then when you've seen how they regressed the three main characters of the OT, Han, Luke, and Leia, you knew that this was a total reset of everything, right? There's no respect towards George's lore whatsoever. And that's including the EU. No, he did not write all the novels, but he was involved in some way, shape, or form. Just like he was involved, he was involved in the same level of the novels as he was with the Clone Wars. He didn't write the Clone Wars. He was executive producer. So he approved some things, and some things that were a lot of things. Well, I wouldn't say a lot, but there was things that Filoni presented to George that wasn't the exact scenario of the story or ending or what have you. That we see. So basically, Filoni, lied, is a liar to George, and but we don't know what happened behind scenes. And, I guess there's forgiveness because George still sees him in good regards, but still. All right. So I'm ending the poll right now and we'll see what we have. Let's see if we got any more votes in. Let's see the verdict. All right. So Kate Skywalker is on top. So we have Kate at 43, Talon at 40, Jolie at 10, and Villy at 6%. So thank you guys for your vote. Like I said, it was so hard to decide. It's always hard to decide when you only got 4 choices. I wish we at least get up to like 5 or 6. Then it'll be a lot easier. So again, if you didn't see yours on there, just go ahead and let me know which smuggler you liked or you favored in the EU. Let's see here. And then Chaos Man says, who would want to see a novel in which it explains why someone has controversial and hate as failure became chief of state? Although given the current political state right now, I'm not surprised. Yeah. And so like even in like in the Thrawn trilogy too, he was an ass. He was an asshole towards Leia. And when they're getting the Katana fleet and how he was with, telling her, oh, well, we're not going to help them. We're not going to help Lando, Luke, and Han. We're just going to turn our backs and flee. And Leia's like, what? So that was crazy. That's crazy, so, and he was eventually put in his place. But still, he still was an asshole throughout the whole, a lot of the novels you see of him and stuff, like in there before the New Jedi Order, he was a complete asshole. He was a jerk, a very big jerk. Maybe, yeah, like you said, maybe he's relatable now. So let's go ahead and switch gears here. And I want to bring up that article still. I think we have time. We still have a half an hour. I like to go within 2 hours. That is like the comfortable time frame here. So let me pull up this here. And so Darth Vader, we know that Anakin is Darth Vader is, or not Anakin, Hayden is Anakin and Vader, right? But we know the voice. The voice is always James Earl Jones. And that I love. His voice made him menacing, right? His voice just put depth and power. It's like when he spoke, you listened, right? It had great command. And I think that was a great choice of George to do. I know there's a little bit of controversy with that. And, like keeping, the original actor's voice versus James Earl Jones's, but I think that was a smart move. And like I said, it created fear, demand, respect, like you listened, but you still had that fear factor. It's like, it was like that commanding of a voice. So let me go ahead and bring this article up. Let me see here, and let me see what Soul Assassin says here. Luke helped rig and election. True story. Here from Open Airlock and Ryan's Kennel Street. Yes, he did. Yes, he did, to get Omos in. Yep. And so that too. So this is where, and before I go on with this article here, we're only going to read a little bit and go through a little bit, and we'll discuss James Earl Jones as Vader's voice, the voice of Vader. Yeah, it kind of like George made, and his writers, his franchise, his company at the time, made everything timeless, because this right here, you can relate to today's politics. Right? You can relate. It's he didn't insert politics like our reality politics in there. He created themes and tropes to where any time in any generation you could probably relate to one way or shape or form in the aspects of politics of what's going on in Star Wars. Today, Disney basically is like inserted today's politics, which makes it age. There's a huge difference. There's a difference between inspiration and insertion. And I stated that on Twitter when someone, I think it was AT, he basically had an awful take about that. And I was going to share it with you guys today, and I just now got reminded of it. I totally forgot about it. Basically, he's like, he was trying to mock, and like there was no politics in Star Wars before her kind of deal. And yeah, there was, but it was all about the politics of Star Wars, not our politics, but what was going on, because war is centered around politics. That's just how it is. That's what the root of war is about, is politics, right? Without politics, you're not going to have that war. If you don't have, someone trying to be a dictator, or someone trying to do this and that, and with politics and stuff, then you're not, and you don't have an opposing force, and you go to war, blah, blah, blah. That's what it's about, right? And I really butchered that shit up, but that's okay. You guys know what I mean. So yeah, so Luke did help with that, rig the election. Let's see here. Why do these Disney shows share the same air we breathe? Why? I don't know. It's just how life is. I'm sorry. Life is not always fair. Life is not always fair. You know what? Let me see if that is, before we move on, let me see if that has fully downloaded.
Once the meld had adjusted to his arrival,
let's see here.
Dressed in a Stealth X flight lightsaber to his belt, then gestured to the small tactical hollow display
let's see here.
in the corner of his day cabin. Shall we see how the battle at Titus finally began?
Okay, let's see here.
The Jedi threat had been an empty one.
Let's see here. Now, so this is going back to what we're discussing about Luke. Whoops, wrong one. Let's see here. I may not be able to play it. I just don't want to skip around and try to find it and mess up on it. Let's see here. Let's see here.
When they reached the hatch, they found a small honor guard.
Yeah. So let's see here. I hate trying to find something.
Because visibility was so poor. Over, following, then breathed a sigh of relief.
All right. Let's see here. I'm going to go ahead and pull up the article here. All right, there it is. I thought I clicked out of it. Sorry about that, you guys. Share screen. Let's see here. And you can hear the background on there. Let's see here. That's not the chapter I want. There we go. And here we go. Let's see here. 9. Is it 9? I thought I remembered. Oh, I think I found it. Yay! All right. Let's see here. Let's see here.
Titus knew now that the path he had chosen. Luke's eyes grew narrow and cold.
There we go. I found it.
You go through with this one. You'll regret it. Titus could not understand why Luke wanted to desert him just when they were on the brink of saving the Alliance. But he did know how to prevent it. Have you forgotten the Academy? The door opened. Instead of stepping through, Luke faced Titus and spoke in a very calm voice. I'm sure you're not threatening the younglings. He pointed at the base of Jason's meditation chair and made a tapping motion with his finger. The pedestal gave a loud whoomph, and the seat dropped a quarter meter. Because you really don't want to see me angry. Luke made the tapping motion again. The pedestal emitted a metallic shriek, and the seat dropped another quarter meter. and I think you're smart enough to know that. Luke tapped the last time, and the pedestal collapsed with a low, loud crump, depositing Titus on the floor with feet sticking out in front of him like a child. But if you want to try me, go ahead and make that threat. Luke lowered his hand, and the weight vanished from Titus's chest. He could have leapt up to attack had he been that foolish, but simply not slaves to their emotions.
All right, so hopefully you guys heard that. So if you heard that, give me a thumbs up or whatever. And thank you, Soul Assassin. I haven't had a chance to get back onto Twitter to see if you sent that link, and you did, and I found that. So there you go. But that's what, and I'll play that again before we end here so you guys can hear through the link here if you didn't hear it very well. That was Luke Skywalker, and how he was so calm, so commanding about the threat that Jason was doing against the younglings. And I think that's that kind of we get Vader, his father, killing the younglings, and then he have his son who's like, you're not going to threaten the younglings, and you could see the contrast between the two there. So that was amazing. So here we go. So we have Darth. We have an article about Darth Vader and James Earl Jones, and political theory and explanation versus ideological injection. Right, exactly. Let's see here. I don't know what screen to push on. There we go. So we have here. So the magic of James Earl Jones. And so basically, yes, I agree. He brought magic to Vader. He brought command to Vader. His voice made him the villain. Now, mind you, how the actor, was it Dave? What's his name? Dave? How he acted him out, how the stance was commanding also contributed to it. And so, we have both of that. So not only the voice, but the stature, how the actor acted out Vader, how his commanding, his stance and his persona was demanding, commanding. It was just all magical. And then, David Prowse worked very hard to create the character Darth Vader. He is Vader. I just consider myself to be special effects. And that was what James Earl Jones said about him voicing Vader. He was just a special effects. David Prowse is the one that really gave us Vader, his stance, his command, his dark presence. James Earl Jones may be the last of a tradition because technology none like him may ever follow again. Today, children sit in front of the television and learn from distant magicians, but not so with James Earl Jones. He learned his craft in the oral tradition through stories passed down from father and mother to sons and daughters. So this is explaining like a little bit about James Earl Jones learning and from, oral traditions, and that oral traditions passing down to him. Papa used to tell me my child voice was beautiful, like a bell. James Earl wrote in his autobiography, Voices and Silence. I grew up listening to music of Southern voices, the rich and testimonials guised in stories told on the porch at Papa or at my great grandma's home. The storytellers in the family could memorize us with the high drama of our family tales or with local vivid gossip. At night, I listened with the fascination and sometimes fear to Mama's epic bedtime stories. Out in the country with few books or strangers and no such thing as television. Wow, just imagine to be in a time like that. And, I kind of grew up like that. My grandmother raised me. There would be times we'd go out and sit out on the porch and she would tell us stories of our ancestors, stories of the family, just funny stories, what have you. Very oral tradition. I think that's where a lot like great mind development happen when you not only read, but you are told orally stories. and you listen, and you have to use your imagination, and you have those teachings with your elders. You learn respect for those elders. You learn to sit and listen. We are lacking that today. With few books, or okay, let me see here. We depended on the stories we knew and the stories we could that could invent and tell ourselves. I grew up with spoken word. So this is kind of what got him into, like, voiceover and stuff like that. And, kind of like gives us an example of his voice and what his family thought about his voice and stuff. And boy, did it, create riches for him, basically. But James Earl, that's what he asked us to call him, has a special relationship with word. His voice didn't always come easy to him. When he was young, he stuttered. Wow. If you are denied an ability, or if you suffered from an inability to express yourself, he told us, expression became a very important thing. You appreciate those people who can express themselves. When he was a young boy, James Earl developed a stutter after his family moved from Mississippi to Michigan. Those early childhood days were difficult for him. James Earl was shy, and the stutter only made things worse. He withdrew into silence. Wow, that's crazy. I didn't really get much into James Earl's background story, his history of growing up and stuff. So this is and I didn't have a chance to read this article till now because I wanted to basically share my expression and what I think about this from first reading it with you guys here. We're not going to go through everything here. I just wanted to cover some of his legacy here as Darth Vader, as, someone with such a phenomenal voice, commanding voice, and as an actor as well. Professor Donald Crouch, a high school teacher in English, history, and Latin, inspired me to overcome my stuttering, he tells us. Wow. So he has someone that's helped him out as well. First of all, he acknowledged that there were certain situations where I didn't stutter. One was when I talked to animals on the farm. The other was when I read my own poetry. So he just encouraged me to write more poetry and recite it in front of the class. Awesome. That's amazing. We have, James Earl Jones, of course, in the South. He's a Black man growing up, and he's got this person to help him overcome, some, disabilities. Stuttering is a type of disability. It's like a what do you call it? It's like a I wouldn't say disorder, just kind of like a disability. It goes with courage, with confidence as well, and slowing the mind down and finding yourself and finding ways to overcome it. Many people who eventually achieved something, these people whom we know of are for their accomplishments, start out with a handicap. There you go. It's a handicap. Had they not overcome that handicap, would have denied them the opportunity to do what they did. But they did overcome it, and they became better for it. Yes, and so that's this right here. So what do you guys think about this? I'm going to go ahead and check out the chat. And so I'm switching windows right now. Let's see here. And at the moment, Luke became the OG of all Star Wars. Yeah. Yes, exactly. That's how you see me, huh? I like go in there and I'm like, okay, I'm going to pin you down to your seat. You're going to listen to me, boy. Don't mess with this shit. Yep, exactly. And once refined, the other is abrasive, right? And then thumbs up. I must go. Have a wonderful day, everyone. Yes, you do. You have one too. So what do you guys think about this? So we learned about James, he had, such a awesome voice. His father, really praised him for it. But then he also developed a handicap, a stutter with it. And through the help of, one of his teachers, he overcame that. He found ways to overcome. And I like that. OG have read everything from New Canon. I haven't read New Canon. I mean, I've researched the canon, not the New Canon, the faux lore, basically. Their lore. I've researched it, but I haven't read it because I'm not going to invest into that. No. Okay, so let's go on here. James stepped onto the stage in 1950, and since then, the words have came out right. So basically, he learned the scripts and he recited them. That helped him out with his handicap. In more than 66 theaters, order 66. There you go. Maybe it was meant to be. Um, just a little thing I noticed here. So I'll read it again. In more than 66 theater productions, 51 movies, and 28 television shows are made for television movies. He cast his spell in movies such as Meatwan, Garden of Stone, Coming to America, Field of Dreams, The Hunt for Red October, Patriot Games, Somersby, and Clear and Present Danger. Additionally, the rich resonance of his voice became the voice of Mustafa, the Father Lion, and the Lion King, and around the world. It is his voice that announces this is CNN just before the cable network takes a station break. On stage, in the movies, and on television, James Earl has played an amazing variety of characters. In both the play and the movie, The Great White Hope, he played Jack Johnson, the first African American heavyweight boxing champion. In Fields of Dreams, he co-starred with Kevin Costner as a famous writer. By the way, James Earl says that people who have seen Field of Dreams believe they recall the character he portrayed from their memories as of the 60s, but the character is fictional. There never was an activist writer named Terrence Mann. And in the Venom John story, James Earl plays the role of the early civil rights activist. For these and the powerful performances, James Earl has earned an amazing 37 major awards, including 3 Emmys, 2 Tonys, and a Golden Globe, a Grammy, and an Obie. In one year, in 1991, he won 2 Emmys for the different performances on one in Gabriel's Fire and the other in Heat Wave. In 1967 through 1968, he won his first Tony Award. This one for Best Performance by the Actor for the play The Great White Hope. In 1970, The Great White Hope went to the silver screen, and James Earl received his first Academy Award nomination, Best Performance by an Actor. He won his second Tony Award in 1987 for the play Fences. James Earl's list of awards seems endless, but surprisingly, it doesn't include any awards that for his performances in Star Wars trilogy. I was once a member of the board of directors of the Academy of Motion Picture Arts and Science, and we had acknowledged that a film's success reflects in ways its excellence. Star Wars was successful, yet it didn't get a lot of awards. I'm not saying a successful movie should be given artistic credit just because it's successful, but there's something right that happened about the movie that made it successful that should be recognized. Even though Star Wars didn't earn James Earl's much recognition from his industry peers, it changed his life. All right, so we'll go on to this and then we'll close here. It set off a chain of reaction of voices in my career with Darth Vader. My voice came to be used more and more frequently as a voice of authority, right? And that's what I just said. He's like had that commanding authority type of voice. It brought me a lot of commercial and voiceover work. James Earl and Penelope Niven wrote in his autobiography, the voiceover work led to more and more opportunities for narrations and on-camera commercials with their milieu of crafts so different from movies and theater. Before it became widely known that James Earl was the voice of Darth Vader, he used to deny it. It was fun. He says it in his book. That's funny. So he's like, no, I wasn't. So he's denying it, bullshitting everybody. I used to tell people that the film's producers first called up Orson Welles, and he was busy. So they called up Victor Jury and he was so busy, so they called me. We asked him to tell us more about the story. And then so James Earl goes on. After he put the film together, George Lucas decided that he wanted a voice in the bass register. I don't think that David Prowse is a bass. No, he's not. He's not. He doesn't have that commanding voice. David also has a slight Scottish accent. So George began to look for someone who to do a voiceover. I understand that George did contact several actors to read for the voice Darth Vader before he contacted me. I was out of work and he said, "Do you want a day work?" And I said, "Sure." And so we get the voice of Darth Vader. So what do you guys think? I mean, I think that it's such a great call for George to say, "Hey, by the way, you don't have any work. Why don't you come over here and do a day job for me? I have something perfect for you." So I think, this right here, paying homage to James Earl as the voice, basically he says he's very humble and he says that he's a special effect of Darth Vader, that David Prowse did all the work. And I love that humility and that humbleness that he has and that respect he has towards David Prowse for, embodying Darth Vader. So what do you think about that? And let's see here. OG have read everything. Oh, no, I already read that one. Hell of a career that voice got him, right? It's so commanding. It's awesome. There'll probably never be another actor like James Earl Jones. Probably not. Probably not. And then, hello there. Yep. And let's see here. Musafa. Yeah, Musafa. There we go. Mufasa. Mufasa. Yeah. So there you go. And so I just wanted to pay a little homage to Darth Vader here, since, we did talk about, some Sith figures like Jason and the wannabe Ben Solo. And so I thought this would be a perfect ending to that, as well as talking about smugglers. And we know that, Darth Vader himself also utilized smugglers to his benefit, and even bounty hunters. And so this is a great ending to that. So what do you think about that? How did you feel seeing Darth Vader for the first time on screen? How did it make you feel? And how old were you? Were you a child? Were you a teenager? How did that make you feel? Did you feel the command of this voice? Did you feel a little bit of dread or fear? With his stature, his black presence and his helmet, not knowing the face behind there, how he walked with command. How did you feel when you first seen Darth Vader on screen? So share that with me. Let me see here. I like the movies that James Earl Jones were in. Okay, cool. So how did you feel about Darth Vader? So I'll leave that here and give you guys a minute to respond before we start closing out here. I don't think I want to read the rest of this article here. It's very interesting. I will share some of this on my YouTube community page. I will share the article on that with you guys. So if you guys have not had a chance to follow me on OG Star Wars YouTube community on Twitter, go ahead and find your way there and join that community. There I'll share a little bit more with channel related stuff than I do on my regular Twitter. Sometimes both will have the same content. And but that's just another compliment to this channel here. And so I'll share this article. So if you guys are interested in reading more of it, it'll be on there. So check it out. So again, share with me how did Vader make you feel? Sometimes StreamYards and YouTube doesn't sync well together. So sometimes the comments come in a little bit slower on my end. Soul Assassin says, don't remember when I first saw reacted to Vader's voice, but remember telling my grandmother when we watched The Sandlot that guy sounds like Vader. Yeah, you're like, he sounds like Vader. Yep, that's exactly, because he was the voice of Vader, right? For me, when I first seen him on Star Wars. Oh, sorry, had a late night, but it's like I was like, whoa. I paused and I'm like, who is that? And I was like, that is crazy. Like he got my attention, and I was like, it was a bit of respectful fear, I guess you could say, or commands. Like he got me at my attention. I knew he was a villain. I knew that he was threatening, so everything about him, the voice actor and the actor, was perfect for me. And that's what made Vader the number one like villain of all time. And that's the brilliance of George Lucas and hiring these people to play and voice Vader. And I totally like give George that respect towards that. Towards his genius. And so there you go, you guys. So go ahead and check out my communities page for the channel. And there is a YouTube communities page here. And so usually I'll post both on there together. And on the YouTube community page, I can make it more oriented to channel members. And so, like, again, thank you, Orange Hat, or congratulations to Orange Hat for winning the copy of the painting. And thank you for all the channel members who participated in that. I probably will do random little chances of earning stuff through my channel for channel members on that YouTube community page there. Zagrat says his voice made Darth Vader more intimidating. Correct. And so we're going to go ahead and close out here. I will share this article, the entirety of this article, on the Twitter community page so that you guys can go and read more into it if you guys are interested in that. So I'm going to go ahead and end with this.
The fate of the galaxy is now in your hands. With the new LEGO Star Wars Slave 1, you can load Captain Solo, arm your weapon systems, man the cockpit, and take off with the most feared ship in the galaxy. But watch out for rebel ships. No matter the enemy, no matter the firepower, you control the action. With the new LEGO Star Wars collection.
And there you go. So the Lego Star Wars collection here. And let me see here. I am going to share one more thing with you guys and see if this plays. And then we're going to close out here. Let's see here. Share. Am I sharing the right screen? Yes, I am. And there we go. Oh, I don't know if the right one's on here. No, it's not. It's just our chat. Sorry about that. Wrong one. Yeah. So again, if there's still time, if you want to share anything about Vader and how you felt about him when you first seen him on screen, you still have chance here because I clicked the wrong tab. My mistake. So here we go. So this is the EU short here. Make sure I have the volume on. It is not making the sound. Oh, sound. Let's see. Why is it not playing?
Instead of stepping through, Luke faced Kaitis and spoke in a very calm voice. I'm sure you're not threatening the younglings. He pointed at the base of Jason's meditation chair and made a tapping motion with his finger. The pedestal gave a loud whoomph, and the seat dropped a quarter meter. Because you really don't want to see me angry. Luke made the tapping motion again. The pedestal emitted a metallic shriek, and the seat dropped another quarter meter. And I think you're smart enough to know that. Luke tapped the last time, and the pedestal collapsed with a low, loud crump, depositing Kaitis on the floor with feet sticking out in front of him like a child. But if you want to try me, go ahead and make that threat. Luke lowered his hand, and the weight vanished from Kaitis' chest. Have you forgotten the academy?
That played again. All right. So thank you guys once again. I thought I was going to try to stream out of that really successfully, but I didn't, but that's okay. So thank you guys again for hanging out with me on Coffee Chat. It was fun. Love talking to you about compare and contrast between Luke and Jason and Luke and Ben, between the two lores, and talking about smuggling and all of that, the smugglers, not smuggling in general, but the smugglers of Star Wars. And thank you guys again for doing that poll and just hanging out with me and having conversation. This is what, Coffee Chat's all about. It's about you guys in the chat and sharing Star Wars and nerding out on stuff and talking about certain topics, certain characters, certain organizations, certain species, or what have you in Star Wars. And this is what this is all about, and even novels. And so I appreciate all of you guys, whether you're a subscriber, channel member, new to the channel. Thank you guys so much. and may the force be with you. You guys have a good day.